last one
No.
as corruption throughout. Is the last one say corruption throughout history?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Is that kind of what she wanted, or what you wanted, or the assignment you were given, or what?
What we're doing is we
He's
take
talking
six.
about this one.
Yeah, I know. But we're doing 6 topics that have corruption or like what were the words that we have? She forgot the paper, so I don't.
No, it's fine. It's
No,
okay.
but it's just like kind of. Sorry, my mind is,
Oh,
like,
it's
everywhere.
everything's fine. What,
We did Nixon and segregation and the Vietnam War and
Yeah, everything that had like dishonesty and
Yeah.
like basically corruption.
okay.
the Watergate scandal.
The Nixon.
And then do you want that last one on the bottom answered as well?
We can save this for someone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's all whatever you want to ask.
Okay, great. So we'll bang out these, and then whatever you want to do.
Okay, so do I read off these since you like fixed them all?
Those are his answers.
Oh, you wrote these are your answers?
I wrote out answers, but you can totally read the question.
Did you memorize these?
No, but it's totally fine.
So the first one is, what does corruption mean to you?
I think that corruption means somebody who's dishonest or loyal, not loyal, or somebody basically that is taking power that they don't have.
Okay. Where in the world do you see corruption?
I think that corruption exists today all over. Being a history teacher, I get kind of a little better or global view. I think that the first major example is in Africa, where we see like a girl's engagement ring or diamond earrings, and we see conflict mining or blood diamond mining. So you see diamonds being taken out of a river and not given to the right people and sold for a fair and equitable price. The second would be like sex trafficking or selling girls as sex slaves all around the world, whether we're talking about in Asia or in Africa or places like that, or in Europe, which is common too still to this day, even over on the northeastern part of Asia and Russia. The last thing would be something about corporate greed, and that's in America. And with corporate greed, you see these major companies making massive, massive profits and not passing down. But we're getting a little better because we have minimum wage growing, and California's just recently passed some better minimum wage. So hopefully that gets a little better.
Where else, wrong question. How was there corruption in the Vietnam War?
Corruption during the Vietnam War, I'm only going to talk about maybe a couple different things. There's a lot. But you saw the credibility gap, and this was a war that majorly focused in with the media, so Americans got in their front TV room every night, a really glimpse in. So the credibility gap, we really got to mistrust presidents, leaders, advisors. Americans didn't know who to believe. And then when we started to invade another country, specifically somewhere like Cambodia, we weren't sure of, was this the right move? Did we have the right trust as citizens putting our tax dollars to work in the right country? So specifically those two areas, the credibility gap and invading another country like Cambodia.
How was there corruption and segregation with all that? Like not.
I can cut it out. Just say this one.
That one.
Yeah, because we're gonna save this one for my dad.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we're not like repeating questions.
Well, we already said that.
No,
we
we
asked that.
I asked this one. How was there corruption in the Vietnam War? And then you
Yeah,
say
but
this
that and that are the same thing.
one. Turn it off.
Where else has there been corruption throughout history?
I think corruption throughout history, specifically in America, because I teach American history this year, there's 4 major things that I wanted to just kind of tell you guys. Number 1 is a Teapot Dome scandal. It happened obviously in America. And number 2 was the internment camps, which was something signed off on by our president, the executive order. It goes back to our definition, which I talked about earlier, of people having this dishonest conduct by using your power. So the president would go out and lock up specific targeted people, and that was just horrible. Our Trail of Tears, which was going back to the beginning of the year in our U.S. history class. Hopefully you guys watching or paying attention by now. not boring you. And then last with Joe McCarthy. Joe McCarthy was a politician, a congressman, and he went around and said, you're the specific type of believer. I think you're corrupt. I think you're dishonest. And at the root of it all, we learn at the end for Senator McCarthy that he was a corrupt and dishonest individual.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
That's a very good job.
Lying, cheating, stealing, false practices, forcing people to do things against their will, things like that. Lying, cheating, stealing, false practices, forcing people to do things against their will, things like that. Everywhere. Government, especially. You see it in some police departments. You see it in a lot of businesses, especially at the top echelon. That means the higher ranks.
How was there corruption with Nixon?
Watergate.
Can you explain the Watergate?
Kinda, it was a, what do you call it? An election scandal, an election fund scandal. And they got caught. And that's eventually what led to them wanting to impeach the president. And instead he resigned. Because he knew he was guilty.
Where else has there been corruption in history?
Throughout history. You can go all the way back to Jesus Christ for corruption. What's the guy that ratted on Jesus? Remember? At the Last Supper?
Oh, that guy?
Yeah. What's his name?
I don't know.
I can't think of his name. Ask Mom, she'll know.
How is there corruption in segregation?
Because it's unfair practices. They want, like if you went back to say the 60s and earlier, before they passed the laws, the equality laws, they would only give the best to the white people and then give what was left, if at all, to the black people. They would make them ride in the back of the bus. They were extremely cruel, very corrupt, very corrupt.